Hey guys, welcome to Pol Ke Bol. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. Today we are going to talk about Succession, the series finale. I just watched it. It was just a couple of hours ago. I took like a couple of hours to think about it. And what a series finale it is. The Roy siblings, their story is finally over. For some, it's a new beginning. For others, it's the complete end. So, who has risen on top? Who hasn't? Who has completely lost it all? Who almost lost it all but got it back? Kind of. Just watch the series finale. It's on Geo Cinema in India. It was on HBO all these years, but Geo Cinema has done well for itself, I would say. Please watch it. The series by Jesse Armstrong from HBO is one of the best TV series of all time. Definitely the best TV series right now, okay? Along with The Boys from Amazon Prime. I would say Succession from HBO will be talked about for years, for decades to come, because the acting in this show is so top class from everyone involved. It's not even funny, right? Right from Brian Cox playing Logan Roy to Jeremy Strong, who is playing Kendall Roy, Sarah Snook playing Siobhan Roy, Shiv. It's insane. This final season, this series finale has been so good. Uh, Spoilers, everyone knows it. Tom Wormsgans has risen to the top. He is now the new CEO of Waystar Royco after the acquisition deal by Gojo goes through. Uh, the first 1 hour of the final episode was just like a setup with like Kendall almost they just showed that how close Kendall was to winning. We all thought, I personally thought that, finally Kendall is going to become like Logan 2.0, but I think he dropped the ball when Shiv, as usual. Firstly, I believe Shiv is someone who can never be trusted. She's the most untrustworthy of the bunch. She's the most she's not the weirdest of the bunch, but the most untrustworthy of the bunch. And by bunch, I mean the entire cast and crew. Like anyone in the Succession universe is like preferable to Shiv. The reason I say that is because Shiv was always ambitious. She knew she didn't have it in her, but she always deluded herself into believing that she can be, the CEO or the successor to Logan Roy. I think she always wanted it because if you remember when the show started, like she was into politics, she never wanted to be a part of this. She could never accept that her siblings were getting something which she wasn't. Okay, she infantilized everything around her, never got the true meaning of what it meant, what she did. And I think at the end of the day, what she's ended up doing is reduced her own social standing. Okay, she could have been one of the top players in a world where the Gojo deal never happens. Of course, Kendall would have been CEO, but she would have been behind the scenes. She would have wielded a lot of power. She would have withheld her board seat and stuff like that. She would have had a lot of power. And what is she doing now? Okay, fine, I get it. Her husband Tom is the CEO, right? But uh, now clearly Tom doesn't need her. Okay, Tom needs Matson. That's fine. He'll deal with her. Tom doesn't need Shiv. Shiv does need Tom because she's tried this entire second half of the season at least to be like, you know what, you're the father of my child, and it's somewhere she needs Tom to be around her. Okay, whereas Tom in this last episode, Shiv was like, hey, listen, let's make an attempt of a real relationship, and Tom was like, I don't think I can do that. I think it's because Tom kind of knew he had outgrown Shiv, and in a very cynical manner, I think his original objective of getting more power than he already had has been successful beyond his wildest dreams. If someone would have told him he would have become the CEO of Waystar Royco 5 years ago, like Tom Wormsgams, the character, he wouldn't have believed it. He wouldn't have believed it. He has succeeded beyond his wildest beliefs, okay, wildest dreams. He's completely subordinated Shiv, as a character. Greg is still there. Greg, despite being a nephew, despite being a Roy, doesn't have any power over him except for maybe some blackmail documents he has on the cruise liner business. But that's fine. That won't really take him that far. And then he has like a new overlord in Matson, who he's completely fine with. He's like, you know what, he knew his destiny was being an underling to some overlord. Okay, instead of Logan Roy, it's just Matson. Okay, just some European dude instead of an American dude. And Tom was fine as long as he got his own kingdom to rule, or just stand instead of someone. I think Tom won big time. Shiv lost. Shiv doesn't have the power she thinks she does. She would have had more power if she would have kept the company and kept Kendall on as a CEO. Kendall wouldn't have had the power he thought he would have wielded. I think at the end when he tried to convince Shiv, saying that don't do this, like just vote for me, it's a 6 all, let's make it 7-6 in our favor. And she was kind of waiting. You could see in Sarah Snook's eyes, in Shiv's eyes, that she's waiting. Convince me that you are the true successor, and you're not just getting it because you're my sibling and you're a man. Because Shiv knows deep down that if she were a man, she would have easily won over Kendall. It's just the show also highlights how difficult it is for women in corporate and life in general, right? And Shiv Roy knows this. She actively tries to avoid it. She's a liberal by all means, but she's also the perfect embodiment of the boss bitch phenomena, where there are some people who think they are literally, the best thing since sliced bread. They're not. They use their gender as sort of a crutch in the wrong way. To actually showcase that they are a boss. Like, there's nothing boss about them, and the people who are actually bosses never show it out. They are very undercover about it. But with someone like a Shiv, she's a boss bitch, and she's just the act of being a boss is more important than being a boss. Okay, and she thinks she did something. She always does this, right? She tries to threaten someone, it fails. She tried to threaten Greg in the last episode, it failed. She tried to manipulate Mattson, it failed. She's tried to support Kendall, it failed. She tried to screw over Kendall, it has failed. She's failed everywhere, I would say. She's failed completely. Sarah Snook has done a great job in playing Shiv. But I would say that the character was never trustworthy from the very beginning. Shiv was never trustworthy. I mean, it's not like she was way worse off than other characters, but at least there was some consistency in other characters. You knew Roman was consistently inconsistent. You knew Kendall, would flatter to deceive. You kind of expected certain themes, but then you knew there were guardrails, Shiv screwed over the family legacy. That's what she did in the final season. And she did it, I would believe, genuinely because she just didn't like her brother. She just genuinely didn't like her brother. She just tried, and she's now becoming, I read on Twitter, right? She's now just becoming just like her mother. She's in a loveless marriage with a very powerful CEO, and she's just gonna hope that her child, or her children actually inherit the Waystar Royco, seat. But now it's no longer, they're not going to inherit Waystar. There's no way that's happening because Tom is a professional CEO. He just happens to be married to a Roy. And I think Mattson must be thinking, I can keep him around for 3-4 years. And once that is done, when the initial shock of a European, conglomerate buying up, a tech conglomerate buying up an American, true blue American conglomerate is done, the surname of the Roys being attached doesn't really lend that much value for the Gojo company. So what happens after that is, I think in a few years, 4-5 years at max, I think Tom will be out. Tom will be out of Waystar Royco. By the time he would have made himself a pretty penny, he'll be fine. I don't think he's going to be CEO forever. He's not going to be CEO forever. Unless he gets really good at his job. But I don't think that's really going to happen. Or even if it does, in fact, that's a counterintuitive thing. Because then Mattson will be like, hey, you know what? I think you've become too big for your boots. Yeah. As he said, I want a punching bag. I want someone, a pain sponge. I do not want anyone who has their own ideas. Okay, just do as I say, execute. Okay, no need to, go out of your way and be proactive. So Mattson got exactly what he wanted. Tom is maximum 5 more years as CEO, 3 to 5 more years as CEO at max. If you think about Greg. Let's come to Greg, right? No one overplayed their hand more than Greg. But I think Greg also didn't do anything wrong. Greg did exactly what he was supposed to do. He's a guy who was out there just trying to keep his eyes and ears open, looking out for himself. And he thought, hey, if he tells Kendall that Shiv is getting screwed over by Matson, he has a better chance in the new coalition that forms. And if you remember in the final episode, he says, let's quad it up. Now, what does that mean? He's saying that, it's like the three siblings and me, the nephew, quad. Let's do that. So when you have a guy who thinks so long term, who uses the right information at the right time, he still gets screwed over. I think Greg got really unlucky. Now, what is Greg's future in the company? Hardly anything. Like, if Tom has like at max 5 years, Greg is not gonna stick around for long. I don't think so. I don't think so. He'll probably pull in a few $100,000 here and there from the company by some scam or the other, but he's never gonna be like his cousins, who are genuine billionaires. Kendall is a broken man, but remember, he's still a billionaire. He'll start something, he'll become like a recluse. As he said, he has nothing else in his life. Logan Roy's ghost still haunts Kendall Roy. Okay? But despite being a billionaire, there's no meaning to his life. He's lost his life's purpose. He's let away his company go, his father's company go, the father's legacy gone, family legacy gone. His wife doesn't like him. He's estranged from his kids and family. His cousins, it's never going to be the same between the cousins after what happened with the board meeting and the voting for Gojo. It's over. Okay, it's over. The only people around him are the people he pays, to be around him, like Colin, his bodyguard. Kendall has got the worst possible ending possible. Okay, he just got the worst ending. I feel bad for Kendall. Genuinely one of the most tragic characters ever. I mean, he could have had something better, but I don't know. It just, I wouldn't say it was a fitting ending. I didn't like what happened to Kendall. It's still a bit raw for me. What happened to Kendall? It could have been better. I feel bad for the guy. I hope he doesn't kill himself, honestly. Colin has to be on guard at all times. That's all I will say. I think Kendall, like 3-4 years down the line, will get, like 1 or 2 years down the line, actually, he'll probably get over it. He'll start something called like the 100. He'll try something. He'll hire professional folks to run it. If it runs, it runs. I don't think he'll ever run it with the whim that he intended to run Waystar Royco. I don't think that was ever going to happen. So that's on Kendall, and one of the greatest TV performances of all time by Jeremy Strong. Sensational, absolutely sensational. Give him like all the awards possible, and I want to see him in a big movie now, like where he's leading stuff. Roman Roy, I would say, was actually the real winner in today's episode. He's someone who got billions of dollars. He's out of the whole Roy family drama now. He's out of the boardroom bullshit. He was never comfortable in an office, okay? He's not someone who's going to work in an office. He never was cut out for it, okay? He's someone who's just, he's not a serious person, right? He's super rich, but now he's relieved. He doesn't have to fight with his brothers and sisters anymore. He just doesn't need to do any of it, okay? He's completely relaxed. He's out of the way. Okay, he doesn't have to go in front of Congress. He doesn't have to face any jail time. He doesn't have to look after, like, okay, will the 100 work? Will Waystar work? Will ATN work? What about this? What about this acquisition? That acquisition? Does his father like him? What about his mother? He doesn't have to worry about anything. It's all over for him. Roman is just going to be like some dude who just, he's lost, but he's also lost Jerry, by the way. I think he had genuine feelings for Jerry, however disgusting that was, but he did have genuine feelings towards Jerry. He's lost her, and he's someone who is now going to live the rest of his life a recluse, crazy Uncle Roman. He won't be in front of the spotlight. He'll be dating some random women from here, there, and everywhere. I don't think he'll ever get married. And he'll just end up like, he'll just end up giving his, money away somewhere. That's what's going to happen with Roman. I mean, it's tragic what happened to him also, but he's also kind of free. He doesn't need to prove himself to anyone anymore. So that is something about Roman I felt. He still did what Kendall told him to do. By the I think the last half an hour of the episode of the series, Kendall was actively bullying him, physically abusing Roman, and Roman was fine with it. He was used to it. Okay, but he's someone who is just out of this. I'm just happy to see Roman Roy out of this whole bullshit, and Kieran Culkin needs all the awards possible. I think everyone deserves all the awards possible. Succession is going to sweep the Emmys and the Golden Globes, if at all there are Golden Globe, categories for this. So I would say, all in all, a sensational episode. I would say a great series finale. It made me feel things. It made me feel things. It made me angry. It made me sad. It made me hopeful in the beginning. It made me emotional. I can't believe there is never going to be another episode of Succession. But it's a show I so love, the fact that it exists. So really happy about it, and I would recommend every one of you. If you haven't watched Succession, please watch it. And you should not. This video wouldn't make sense to you, but do let me know what you think of the finale. I think it was one of the best TV episodes of all time. Yeah. So take care, man. This was Pol Ke Bol, and in true Brian Cox fashion, fuck off.